Okay, we're going to be looking in this short video clip at the anatomy of a typical bony fish that we dissected. So let's look at the external anatomy of this bony fish first. Remember, bony fish belong to the group Osteichthyes, and we call these ray-finned fish because each of the fins is supported by a bony ray. So if we begin, we first see at the anterior the terminal mouth, which is located on the very front, most anterior portion of the head. This is opposed to the ventral mouth that we see in most cartilaginous fish. Next is the nostril, which is an opening that allows water to come into the oral cavity. In addition, it's innervated with lots of olfactory nerves, so this is where the fish's sense of smell originates. Then we have the large eye, which just like our own eye, has a pupil that can be dilated to allow the fish to see an image. The bony flap that covers the gills is the operculum. And if we look at this opercular flap, we see that not only does it cover and protect the gills, it is also attached to some muscle, and as the bony opercular flap can be moved, it can increase and decrease the volume of the oral cavity that the fish uses in ventilating its gills and in catching prey. The lateral line, seen here running along the lateral side of the fish, is a sense organ that helps the fish to pick up vibrations in the water. Looking at the fins, the dorsal fin is broken into two sections, the anterior dorsal fin and the posterior dorsal fin. The caudal fin, or the tail fin, is known as a homocercal caudal fin, simply because the upper and lower lobes are the same. Again, this is different than the cartilaginous fish, where the heterocercal caudal fin had a different upper and lower lobe. The anal fin, located on the ventral side here, the pectoral fin, and the other paired pelvic fin form the pectoral and pelvic girdles. And then the last structure that we can see on the external anatomy is the opening to the digestive urogenital system known as the cloaca, also known as the vent. If we look at the internal anatomy, this is the internal anatomy where the operculum has been removed and the lateral side of the body with the ribs and associated muscle. By removing the operculum, we can see the gills, and we can see these bony pointed gill rakers that serve to protect the delicate gill filaments when the fish is feeding. We can see immediately ventral to the gills is the two-chambered heart, the atrium, and the more muscular ventricle. We can see the large liver, which is the organ that filters the blood after it's been passed through the intestines and absorbed all the nutrients. The liver has a whole bunch of different homeostatic functions. We can see the intestines looping around here and terminating in the cloaca or the vent opening. But by far and away, in most of the fish that we dissect, the largest organ in the abdominal cavity is the ovary. This is one ovary here that you can see is ripe and full of eggs. The testis of the male fish is much smaller. By removing this right ovary, we can see some of the other internal structures. So just to kind of orient you again, this arrow is pointing to the liver, which has been partially removed to reveal this bag-like organ right here. This is the gallbladder. The gallbladder is filled with bile, and it serves to aid in the digestion of fats. This line points to the swim bladder, which you can see is sort of this translucent bag that the fish will add and remove gas from to help maintain its buoyancy. We can see the stomach. This line here represents the stomach. We can see the spleen, And then in this connective tissue next to the intestine is the pancreas. Here the intestine loops around and again terminates in this opening here known as the cloaca or the vent.